All right, here we are with episode 31, Monster Making Part 2. And it's a follow up to The Making of a Monster Part 1. And that was the interview we did with Republican strategist Rick Wilson, a man who's had over 3 decades of being a Republican operative, a strategist on a national scale. He's now extremely well known as a news personality. But as part of the interview, he admitted that over the years, he's been a part, and it's been the Republican strategy that's discussed in back rooms, the strategy of dumbing down the electorate.
Sin? What's all this about sin?
An intentional desire to create a dumber electorate. And he refers to it now in retrospect, his mea culpa moment, he refers to it as the Republican monster. And it's specifically the Frankenstein monster that the Republicans can no longer control. Well, I promise you we do a follow-up on that extremely provocative issue. And as part of the research, I came across a movie called The Brainwashing of My Dad. And when I saw it, it struck an extremely personal chord, and I had to get an interview with the writer, director, producer. We sought her out. She's generously giving us her time, and I'll let her introduce herself. And I hope you enjoy this interview as much as I did.
Yeah, to answer your question, I'm in Ohio, back and forth between Ohio and Kentucky, doing a documentary that you beat me to about a year ago, 2 years ago. So fuck you, Jen.
Sorry. Oops. Yeah.
All right, and for
Yours.
Pardon?
When you think of yours, I started it in 2012, 2013.
Okay, I started mine 2000 at the end, like December of 2017, and then I quit doing it in the fall of 2019. What we did was we were doing this documentary, and the Kentucky Film Commissioner just fucked us up the ass and killed us. And so then, but we had all this material, and we started making a web series, a TV series.
Yeah.
So anyways, you may have beaten me to it by a number of years. We have won 2 best of festivals.
Wow.
Yeah. I've never done anything but fiction. You know, this is the first nonfiction shit I've ever done.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Well, congratulations. I did.
yeah, like you too. My God, you fucking nailed it.
I've been living this shit in my head for 20 years, and before I did the movie, I saw it all in front of me. I remember telling my friend that, like, I said, I can see it from beginning to end. And he was an artist, so he understood what I was saying. But I said, I know exactly how this needs to go. But I also learned things along the way and put extra things in, like when I saw Sue Wilson's Broadcast Blues, about how the fairness doctrine actually affected certain. Oh, no. That was about the Telecommunications Act. And then I saw.
Jen, may I call you Jennifer?
You can call me Jennifer if you want. Yeah.
Because that just rolls off my tongue. So I'm going to accidentally do it. All right, I'll try to say Jen, but
no, that's okay. I was called that the first 30 years of my life, and my brother and mother still call me Jennifer.
Okay, cool. Well, I'm an old fart, so there you go. Can you tell our audience what movie? I warned you before we started recording that I was going to gush. All right. Tell the audience why I'm gushing. What movie did you make?
Well, I made the documentary Brainwashing of My Dad.
And I hate you because it was so friggin' good. Oh my God. Audience, I thought I had this brilliant idea after we interviewed Rick Wilson. And Rick Wilson was talking about the dumbing down of the United States. And my mother has become a raging bitch. She used to be this effervescent uh, life of the party, and now she's just mean, fucking mean. And
Yeah.
it's her second husband, and he's addicted to Rush Limbaugh and Fox. And so I thought, wow, this would be a great movie. This would be a great episode. I need to explore this. 30 seconds into my Google machine, your movie, you did it how many years ago?
It came out in the spring of 2016.
Oh, I should just steal your idea. I should just steal it.
Well, some people make the same movie twice. You could make it again.
Oh, dude, I've made like half of my movies are like.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's not go there. um, all right. And so the premise of the movie is your dad. Well, tell the audience.
Yeah. Okay, so my dad was like a non-political Kennedy Democrat. You know, he had been through the Depression, in the war. He he got his degree on the GI Bill.
Mhm.
You know, FDR saved everybody from the Depression. So he grew up as a Democrat. And one day the family moved and he had a long solo commute to work.
Mhm.
And you know, he wasn't that into music, so he found talk radio, thinking that he was very into education. He probably thought, well, at least I'll be learning something if I listen to talk radio.
Yes. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
yeah. And because he had always valued education, which
Mhm.
interestingly enough, he began dissing once he changed. But anyway, I digress. Um,
No, you don't, Jen, because I swear that is I've seen your movie twice now, and that is such an important component. The isolation of your dad in the car driving to work, and the only input he has, the friend that he is sitting next to, is his radio, and the person feeding him information. His desire to learn. Um, he wants new information. He wants to absorb it, think about it.
yeah,
You know.
yeah, he had an active mind. He wanted to chew on things in his head. And it was Bob Grant. You know, 97% of talk radio is right wing. And back
Is it
then,
really?
mhm, it's roughly talk radio. Yeah,
Yeah, really.
is wing. Yeah.
Is
So
Bob
about,
Grant still alive?
pardon me?
Is Bob Grant still alive?
Oh, no. He passed on to another world.
What
Yeah.
world do you think?
What?
What world do you think Bob Grant rests in now?
Um,
Fuck
well, I better not say, but I
it,
think
I'll say it. He
I
better
think
rotting in hell.
I
Where are you? Where are you now?
well, right now I'm in Barnegat, New Jersey. I live technically I live in New York,
Hmm.
New York City, in Soho. I've lived there for years since the 80s. But but my mom, who's now 99, my
She's
big
adorable.
I
She's adorable. She's like the fucking star of your movie, man.
know
Between you and her, you guys both steal the screen.
I know she does. Like she's
Oh, kid, you do too. You're. I think in one of our email exchanges, I called you an adorable geek.
yeah, you did. I was like, oh, that's a nice compliment.
Oh my God. Yeah. Oh, we could even start writing a screenplay right now just for you to fucking take it from there.
Many, many years ago.
Audience,
Yeah.
fuck you, audience. I told you, I warned you I was going to gush. So,
That's great.
I'm sorry, Jennifer.
Oh no, it makes me feel good. Thanks. Who doesn't like compliments? So, um,
I packed Kate Beckinsale into leather pants every day for 8 weeks, tight leather pants. So I know my female leads.
you're what?
Huh?
You're what?
Female leads.
Oh, you're female leads. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I studied acting in my 30s for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really challenging, but I couldn't remember lines. So and it also required like too much of me, like if you had an anguishing role. I mean, like, I really admire actors because they have to live their role. It made me really appreciate the craft. And then later on, when I did, I produced a couple of like shorts, just for the experience of it. I made sure that I always like really treated the actors with respect because they work so hard. I mean, they're working all the time, it's like from the inside out. Yeah, it wasn't for me.
I've only been directing for like a year now, and it's all been this TV thing. But I've always just produced, so I've treated actors like cattle. There was no difference to me between a prop and an actor, and I hated having to deal with both. So
You could take a local acting class, too.
should.
And boy, I mean, I had a friend who was a director who did that. So I took an acting class, and it changed the way he treated actors. And he knew how to direct them better too.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I sure could learn some. Jen, your movie. God damn it, we digress. Audience, this is gonna go. This is how it's gonna be. I have not talked to a fellow filmmaker in months. So I'm just I'm on the edge of my seat. Jen, all right. So your dad is isolated in the car. He's listening. Oh, fuck it. You're such a great storyteller. All right. God damn it. That was such a great hook. Your father, I mean, yes, it motivated your movie, but as a filmmaker, as an audience, using that personal touch, my God, you nailed it.
Yeah.
Absolutely nailed it.
That was the only way that people would really understand it. So, but to continue that story, it's very slowly we started notice him changing. Became just a little bit more arrogant. Like he picked me up in his car, like if I came down to visit, with a Manhattan in his driver's, like next to his driver's seat. He just was he was changing. And then this was shortly before he fully retired. Then when he fully retired, he found Rush Limbaugh. And he had a huge white man crush on Rush Limbaugh. Oh my God. I'd put it another way, but I won't. But he
audience, Jennifer, what's the name of the movie again?
The Brainwashing of My Dad.
Available where?
You can get it on iTunes, YouTube. It's on demand. Go to the website, Amazon. But I mean, really, honestly, when people watch it on Amazon, we get like 7 cents, and we're still paying back our backer. So, documentarians don't make any money, and that's why I'm living at home. No, I'm just kidding.
You've got 14 cents from me.
Well, thanks for watching it twice.
Well, no, it's a job. But no, I enjoyed it. I freaking enjoyed it. And by the way, the second time through, I was at a brunch, a bar, and all these people were walking by me, that I know and stuff, and they're saying hi, and they go, "What's that? What's that? That looks interesting." And it's work, 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 but just visually, they couldn't hear anything, but they were just, oh, we could go on about your cinematic style, but anyway, so your dad's isolated.
Yeah.
He's having erotic thoughts about Rush Limbaugh alone in a car, and
Yeah.
you notice changing. He's changing.
Yeah. So that's when he really started changing. And and then like at some point, email came in, and he started emailing us all of these like conspiracy theories about Clinton. Um,
What year are
actually,
we talking about?
hmm?
What year are we talking about?
Okay, so well, now that we moved to the 90s. Um, I guess I'm like jumping ahead because this process started in the late 80s and then moved into the 90s. Um, and it's kind of like maybe Rush Limbaugh told him, who to join, but he joined every right wing email group there was from the Heritage Foundation, and I mean, not the Heritage, NRA to the Heritage Foundation to stuff against immigrants, for Christianity, everything. He just fell for it all.
Mhm.
And he would argue with us constantly. He was always angry. Always, it was always ready to just
Pounce.
yeah, and talk politics and just prove how horrible Democrats were.
Mhm.
It's like an evangelical wanting to save you from going to hell. That and that's how he was, and it became very taxing for our family. And
You
I
you drive that home. You make that point perfectly when you interview your brother, cousins, the mom, your mom.
yeah,
All of them were
yeah,
disaffected. Is that the right word? They were all affected. They were all harmed.
oh yeah, 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 and
And this is someone who you love. The adoration that you have for your dad. I mean, you nail that in the first 3 minutes. I mean, God, I told you in an email, for 2.5 minutes, I cried, and then I got pissed off. And I'm not going to give away the ending, but fucking hey, I cried again.
wow, yeah.
Well done, kid.
Thank you. It does have an arc. He just changed dramatically, and you almost felt like bad for him because he was just obsessed with this stuff. This is what and he gave so much money away to these people too. I
How,
mean, well, like, once he got on these email lists, the Heritage Foundation, NRA, Christians are victims, whatever, he would write checks like every time they sent stuff in the mail, you know.
holy
So,
shit. That you never mentioned that in the movie.
no, I didn't. I didn't. Yeah. Um, yeah. But that was, that was a part of it. But mostly it was we were upset because his whole personality changed and he just was so miserable and angry and fearful. So after a while he started just saying Rush Limbaugh is my hero.
Uh-huh.
And and then that's when he became really rebellious. Then forget it. When he picked me up, yeah, he'd have a Manhattan in his car and he'd say, "Oh, the government can't tell me what to do. Dad, you're not wearing a seatbelt. Ah, I don't believe in seatbelts. Ralph Nader made that stuff up." But then one time he got fined $50 and don't tell your mother. You know?
He's worried about getting fined $50, but he's sending 100 off to Rush.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah, or those email groups. But yeah, we got very upset by these emails because they were obviously lies, and we kept telling him, please don't send us these emails. But sometimes we would fight. My mom started getting into research and fighting back and sending him like Snopes articles before the right labeled Snopes left, because it always found them wrong. So she would look up something that he claimed and then go to Snopes and find out that was false.
what is Snopes? I don't even know what that is.
You don't know what Snopes is? Oh, it's a fact checking site. It's very good. It's been
Really?
around for a while. Yeah.
Obviously, yeah.
Like it talks about myths and rumors, and it started out just a husband and wife, and they would just research all these rumors and then find out what was really true and what was not, and they debunked myths basically.
So would they say that Bigfoot doesn't exist?
Yeah, they would say that.
Okay,
Sorry.
that's sad.
I know you've seen him, but
Just last night after too much alcohol.
he was lurking around here somewhere.
I was walking my dog.
Did I just see Bigfoot?
Oh, the grandiose Bigfoot.
There was a neighbor next door with a huge lawnmower, but so,
Or it could have been a raccoon. I don't know.
yeah, it could have been a big.
We digress, kid. Now, money. You say your dad. First, let me just say that I have 3 pages of questions here,
Oh,
and we're
we should get.
halfway through the interview. I haven't asked one.
Oh, okay.
But money. Your dad sending money.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, do you think, like, you had a really cool clip where Rush Limbaugh is asked, do you believe your shit? And he goes, try to find out.
Yeah.
In other words, of course I'm full of shit.
Right.
Some more pills, send another check.
Like, that's for you to decide.
That's it. That was it. Yeah. Oh my God. You did this movie 4 years ago. You still remember?
Oh yeah. Well, I've seen it probably 100 times. Maybe 200.
I'm sure you've seen it way more than that. Were you involved in the editing?
I had a wonderful editor, Colin Mandrake, and we worked really, 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 really closely together. I'd say we emailed each other all day, like into the night, and then sometimes she'd come by. So she actually found that clip. That she was really good at finding clips, and yeah. So I just worked with her, but she was the editor. I can't edit my own stuff.
All right.
I like to have just give her like, I want to use this, and this, and she put it together.
Oh, man, that's precious. That's
Yeah.
Now, all right, the audience is going to kill me for this in the weeds question, but releases, you guys got a ton of shit there. You could not have got releases for all that.
I did.
You like when the people walking by when you're you're interviewing someone in a coffee shop, and there's people outside on the sidewalk. Did you get a releases from them?
No.
Yeah.
No.
God, I wish my producer was here, because she doesn't do any of that shit. So.
Oh, doing a documentary, you have a lot more leeway.
Sure. Yeah. I'm
But
learning that. Yeah.
yeah. So no, we didn't have to get releases. I got releases for everybody that I interviewed.
All right. What a great segue. Huge professional jealousy compliment. Dude, you got some of the greatest names that I've been pursuing for the last 8 months. You interviewed the fucking Holy Grail times 10. How the fuck did you do that?
Yeah, are you talking about Noam Chomsky or Frank Luntz?
Where do I begin? I mean, Gabriel Sherman. I mean, he's got his book. You interviewed that kid back when. Now he's got a show on Showtime,
I know.
and you interviewed him. You know how hard I tried to get that fucker to give me an interview.
Really?
And you went on and on. I mean, every time I'm watching the movie, I'm writing down these names. I go, I'm trying to interview that asshole. What? How did she? How did you do it?
It was, well, it was, I had done a couple other documentaries before,
Uh-huh.
not this length, and they all were, they won awards. So, um, I don't know, with Gabriel Sherman, it was my editor's idea. She came to me and she said, please, can we interview this guy? Please, please, please. I said, oh, who is he? I read his whole book. And I think we just reached out to him and wrote about what we were doing. And he said yes. He was a little bit reluctant because, Roger Ailes at that time was kind of scary. And he felt threatened, so
Who is
it was.
Roger Ailes?
What?
Who is Roger Ailes?
Are you are you kidding me? Roger Ailes?
Jennifer, I'm talking to my audience now. Please.
Okay. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to look that. Okay. Roger Ailes is
All right,
like,
take two.
yeah.
Jennifer, who is Roger Ailes?
Okay, so Roger Ailes is the television producer who Rupert Murdoch, got to produce and just do Fox News. He created Fox News. He had been Nixon's TV guru, like telling Nixon how to act on television because he sucked so badly when he was with Kennedy, sweaty and,
Yep.
shifty-eyed and all that. So Nixon one day was on the Mike Douglas show, and Roger Ailes was like, hey, you really need some TV savvy. So at that time, there was a memo that came out called How to Get the GOP on TV News.
Mhm.
We don't know if Roger Ailes himself wrote it, but when he presented it to Nixon, it had his handwriting all over it. So that was sort of a blueprint for Fox News. So Murdoch tapping him, it was like the perfect marriage because Murdoch wanted to go lowbrow like he had in London and Australia, and appeal to people's like basest
Instincts.
yeah, murders or gore or just lowbrow dumb stuff. And
Low hanging fruit. Yeah.
yeah, Roger Ailes had this like ideology, and it actually was all part of this movement at the time. That because after that, the Lewis Powell memo came out, and it was that I'm kind of jumping around, but that was the whole idea was behind that. But these billionaires said they wanted to indoctrinate the masses.
Jennifer, let me interrupt.
Yeah.
What do you mean by the Powell memo?
Okay. So the Lewis Powell memo came out when Nixon was president, and he was commissioned by his neighbor Eugene B. Seidnor, who was the head of the oh shit, what do you call it? The business thing.
Chamber of Commerce?
Chamber of Commerce, yes, thank you. I'm over 50, so I forget words, but
Girl, I'm 63. I can't believe I'm able to even listen and keep up with you. My nurse is changing my bedpan as we speak. Off, damn nurse. This is Shakespearean. All right. So now wait a second. All right. If I was disappointed in anything about your movie, was you didn't the Lee Atchison memo. Are you familiar with that one?
Who?
Atchison?
Anderson?
Atchison or something like that. That around that same time, he had a memo that was circulated in Republican circles about how to be racist, but not
Atwater.
Atwater. That's it. Yes, yes.
Oh.
You didn't pick it up. I'm so surprised.
Well, we wanted to put it in there, but the movie was getting too long, and we had to really. There was so much that we wanted to put in. I'm disappointed we have to leave several things out, but I am writing a book, and I'm putting that in the book.
What's the name of your book, kid?
I think it's going to be What Happened to Dad.
What Happened to Dad?
Yeah. What do you think of that title?
I'm a cold-blooded producer. You know me, I'm going to pitch you a project, and I don't want you distracted by book writing or anything but making your next movie, because I'm an asshole. That's my job. But you write, you go ahead and write. But we're going to get you to do the next. You finished your movie what? 2017, 2016?
2015, really, but we put like the very last picture in, which you saw at the end of the movie, in 2016, and then that's when it came out.
Okay. Yeah. You realize that a lot of shit has gone down since 2016.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've been watching the news.
Yeah, it's a nightmare.
Kid, you're overdue. I mean, my God, you've been sitting on this shit for 4 fucking years, man. Time to do it again. So, anyways, so where were we? Atwater and shortening the movie.
Yeah, I got to finish the book by it'll come out in September 2020, and then I'm free to do another.
Fuck you, man. We're making this movie next summer. All right. I swear to God. And by the way, I'm not the first person that's going to call you about this movie. I'm going to have 4 or 5 other huge people whose name you've seen in IMDb and what have you, beg you to fucking get after another one. All right. You can chew gum and walk at the same time. All right. And you'll have a team. Oh shit, the audience is turning off right now. Back to your movie. All right, Atwater and subtle racism. You know, the memo that he sent out that, hey, we're racist, but we don't want to sound racist.
Yeah. So
here's how we, here's how we.
After the Lewis Powell memo. The Lewis Powell memo really was the biggest, most important memo of anything. Like, that influenced where we are today. It was written for multinational corporations and billionaires, and it was a long-range plan on how to move the country to the right, and then deregulate.
Powell, his name sounds familiar. Now,
right after he wrote that memo, Nixon appointed him to the Supreme Court, and he served on the Supreme Court.
That was a rhetorical question. I knew the answer, but the obscenity of it is like so fucking blatant. I keep thinking of William Barr. He perjured himself twice before Congress, and the first time he perjured himself, they made him the Attorney General. Then he retired. He perjured himself as Attorney General. He retired, then perjured himself like a couple months ago. It's like, this is This is how we do it.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
Come on.
Where's
I,
he gonna go after he dies?
I, Cleveland, Cleveland.
Yeah.
That's how I got started on this. I have kids. I have kids here, and in Cleveland, Ohio, and so they had kids, grandkids, and they said, "Dad, if you want to see the grandkids, we're not flying out to California anymore. If you want to see these little monsters grow up, you got to come here." And
Mm.
so, some karma god or whatever the fuck it is, I don't know. But I went from Santa Monica Beach to Cleveland, Ohio.
Oh my God. I bet you can't wait till they grow up.
Well, there's the youngest is about to learn how to poop in a toilet, and
Oh,
that'll be freedom.
yeah.
He'll
Yeah. Oh,
get.
then you can move.
I digress yet again. All right, Atwater Powell. They dropped this memo, and it's basically we. Let me get cinematic. It's basically how do we control the minds of the masses? How do we harness the masses?
Yes.
And by the way, we forget another name back then, right around the same time, Paul Weyrich, who linked the moral majority, Jerry Falwell, to the Republican Party. So
Yeah.
those three things happened right around that same time, where your dad was alone in the car,
Yeah.
having to work, and a blank chalkboard.
Right. Right.
Feed me information. I'm learning. I'm growing. I'm doing what I should as a human being. I'm growing. This information, I
Right.
accept it, I absorb it,
Yeah.
and I cast it out.
Right.
So,
Also, you have to bear in mind that he was an older white male at the time when there were so many social changes going on. Uh, there were women's libers, there was the civil rights movement, there was gay movement, there was all
scary things to old white men.
things that challenged who they were and their ideas of themselves and any power that they might have had. So I think that, like my dad wasn't that self-reflective. I think he just knew that he felt kind of like the earth is shifting, felt a little insecure and
Mm-hmm.
who am I? And then here comes this charismatic blowhard who knows how to stir up anger and emotion and come across as knowledgeable. And, I mean, like Steve Rendell says in my movie, he was a co-founder of FAIR. He knows so much. He said his assignment was to listen to Rush Limbaugh. And he was so so convinced, so he had to go back to the books to check, like, am I wrong? I think I know the facts, but this guy sounds so convincing. He's got such a blowhard, so much bravado behind him and confidence.
Goosebumps. I hate you. You nailed that. You got that in that interview. I hate you.
Yeah.
So good. When he said that, I was on the edge of my seat again in your movie. What's the name of that movie?
The Brainwashing of My Dad. And that's a 3-hour interview with him. So we had to take chunks out. What?
Of course you did. Oh my God. Maybe that's my mistake. Because when I'm doing all these interviews, I want to show the whole interview.
Yeah.
I don't want 10 seconds of you. I want this whole thing.
Yeah.
So maybe that's my mistake. Because when I came here and I saw the ruins, the factories and all that, and I saw, oh my God, this is a failed civilization.
Yeah.
And I'm in the midst of it. I'm waiting in it.
Yeah.
I got to film this. But that documentary just died.
Yeah.
I don't know. I digress, kid.
I knew what I wanted to prove. I mean, I knew what my hypothesis was, and I was looking for answers to that. So anything that sounded like an answer to that hypothesis, or that was like a holy shit moment, you
Mhm.
know, I that's what I would use. And
How many holy shit moments do you feel you got in that movie?
uh, a shit ton.
Yes.
A shit ton.
I hate you.
Yeah, there were a few. And oh man, when I interviewed Frank Luntz,
Yeah.
yeah, he's the Republican um, language guru, who's a pollster, most known for his polls. He does polls, conducts polls, but really his thing that he's most responsible for is creating language for Republicans, like clear skies for um, Bush when he came up with his horrible um, environmental plan, which was just going to pollute more. So he was good for that. But when he was interviewing me, he made me nervous and I made him nervous.
Really?
Yeah.
Tell me this, because I've experienced this. Tell me what was going on.
Well, I mean, I just was so thrilled to have him.
Uh-huh.
I'm 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 sort of shy anyway, and I guess I was
You
just sometimes, not all the time, but
you scream shyness.
I
Central casting. I need shy, boom.
I
Really? Yeah, of course.
oh,
It's endearing. So
oh,
you're interviewing Lutz, all right?
yeah.
You,
So
you get the sit down of a lifetime,
I do.
40 fucking times in your movie, all right? You're
Yeah,
sitting down with Frank fucking Luntz, and
yeah,
you're nervous. God, you had to be.
yes, I
And
was.
what was the moment when your legs started to tremble?
Well, when he turned to me and he stopped what he was saying, and he said, "I can't read you. I, look the way you're sitting there. You're not giving me anything. I
Oh my God.
read you." And because he said that's how, because he was just saying before, like that's how he shapes what he's saying is by reading the person. But I just said, as an interviewer, it's my job to be neutral. It's you we want to hear. He
That's
says,
the
oh, your
way.
your crew is probably judging me. They're all probably liberals. And I said, no, 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 that's not true. But it was.
I knew you were lying.
No, but I did want to make him feel appreciated. He invited us into his home,
Uh,
and as he's a nice guy.
on one level, there's an empathy that he wants to communicate with you, but he wants to know you so he can change his skin,
Yeah,
shed his skin and have you eat the apple,
exactly.
kind of thing. Wow, that was a good metaphor.
Yeah,
Come
yeah.
on.
There you go. That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right. So, all right. Now, let's not give away the ending, but your dad, God, your mom is a charm. Is she still around? Yeah,
Yeah,
you said,
it's right downstairs.
oh, tell her I love her.
I
Oh,
will.
God,
I will.
God
She'll
damn
appreciate that.
it. Audience, if you watch the movie, just you'll get 100% gratification by just the moments with the mom. Right? So, my God. So, your dad, he's gone down this rabbit hole,
Right.
and you drive it home so well how mean he was, how angry he was, and you caught it. You got it on tape.
Mhm.
Brilliant kid, brilliant. Um, and where was your mind at when you saw him become this?
Well, I felt like early on, I kind of felt like I was on the Titanic when it sprung a leak.
Mm.
And I couldn't get anybody to pay attention because they were saying, well, that's just a little water. So I kind of felt again like I saw how this could be really dangerous for not just my dad, but the 20 million people who were listening to him. And I just said, it comes from having being bullied in school when I was young and thinking like one person can make everybody hate you. And I just I just had a really bad feeling about it and what this might do to the country, but also what it was doing to my dad. I felt like he was lost. I
Mm-hmm.
just felt like who is this man? It was like the body snatchers, the invasion of the body snatchers, like pod people.
Sure.
And none of us had a good relationship with him during that time because he was so angry and so obsessed, and it was like he belonged to a cult.
God, oh man. Yeah,
Yeah,
I know you haven't heard of our web series, but that is a constant drumbeat uh,
yeah,
that we're looking into and how and what have you.
yeah,
And you did think of the 20 million people.
yeah.
And all right, so let's give credit where credit is due. Powell, Atwater, Weyrich, the guy we interviewed in the last episode, Rick Wilson. Uh, Credit where credit is due. They nailed it. They got it.
They did. And nobody believed that it could be a vast right-wing conspiracy because it was just too evil. It was too out of like some Star Wars movie, meeting some evil empire.
Or like
People,
out of a documentary from 1935 Germany.
yeah, yeah. Like it can't happen here, that can't be happening. It's like the frog in the water. Like, people were sitting in this nice tepid water and it kept getting warmer and warmer and warmer. And then suddenly they're like, holy fucking shit, it's boiling and we've created this Frankenstein and it's Trump.
Have you been watching my web series? Because we use that frog in boiling water almost every
Yeah,
third episode.
yeah. Well, it's true. And people are start out relatively comfortable.
Mhm.
And then, denial plays a big part of it. If something is just too grotesque to accept.
I think that's. Can I put a fine point on that?
Mhm.
I think on our side of the political equation, that's how we think. I think we're so tribal that on the other side of that political coin, um, they they wrap themselves in it. It's warmth, it's comfort to them. Your dad was comforted when he drove to work by the hatred.
Excited. He was excited.
Yeah.
I mean, in a way, he was comforted because it created fear, and then that created the anger, but
Mm-hmm.
they provided the answer for that. But I know that my dad was addicted to that excitement of Rush Limbaugh when he eventually retired and he'd sit at home for his 3-hour Limbaugh lunches with a beer and a belch that he just couldn't get. He couldn't wait to get pissed off, and feel all righteous and shit.
I noticed because I'm a film geek. I noticed that your dad had an O'Doul's, a non-alcoholic drink.
Wasn't supposed to be drinking.
No?
No, because he had 2 previous bouts of cancer and his procrit levels were low. So he wasn't supposed to be drinking. So that was after some time. But before, they started insisting you can't drink, Mr. Senko. He would sit with a beer and listen to Rush Limbaugh. And he built, by the way, my parents used to eat lunch together. They stopped eating lunch together because my mother couldn't stand the sound of Rush Limbaugh. And he built heavy doors.
That's sad, but yet funny.
I know. So he built heavy doors on the kitchen so that when she sat in the living room to eat her lunch,
Uh-huh.
he didn't have to hear her news and she didn't have to hear Rush Limbaugh.
Wow. Now, all right, again, spoiler alert, spoiler alert. He came down to earth at one point. What happened? What did your lovely mother do?
Okay, so for anybody who doesn't want to know the end of the movie,
Yeah.
go la 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 la. So
All right, fuck it. Jen, don't say it. Don't say it. Tease, tease, always tease the audience. But I'll tell you this, Jennifer's mother is a fucking hero. Oh, such a lovable hero. We're not talking Achilles. We're talking, Oh, so, all right. So, all right, back in the weeds, back in the weeds. All right, you have this movie in your head and you want to get it out there. I, I'm a film finance guy. That's my job. That's what I do. That's how I pay rent. Um, I've never done documentaries before. How did you? Because the cinematic value that you had Matthew Modine as a narrator. You were all over the fucking planet, flying to, sitting down with people. England? You went to England?
no, I didn't. I did that by Skype. I had a friend in England.
Oh, okay.
I had for free. I had produced his short film, and
Uh-huh.
so he owed me. So he knew a producer in England, and I paid them I paid them some money, but not like a huge amount.
Mhm.
And they did the shooting there of Kathleen Taylor, while Kathleen Taylor was looking at me through Skype. So I didn't go to England myself.
Oh, okay. It seemed like we were there, the audience. Speaking from the audience perspective,
I was there with her.
yeah.
The camera guy was there. What she saw on me, she was looking at her computer screen.
So you're saying not everything we put on the screen is real?
And as for the California one, George Lakoff,
Mhm.
I had a good friend who she was out there already, and she was my second camera.
Mhm.
So she shot. She did a couple interviews for me when she was out there. She was. I had a lot of people, like, she was a volunteer. She just believed in it so much. This friend, Mel Bryant, that she did a lot of stuff for free. But did you want to know how I raised money? Was that with?
Can I ask another digression first?
Oh, absolutely.
And audience, I know you've turned off already, so I'm not worried about you anymore. Who took the shot where you were being interviewed? You were on camera being interviewed by a lamp, and uh, the lighting caught you, uh, from here to there. Who did that shot?
You mean where I talked to the camera?
Yeah,
That's Mel Bryant.
really?
Yeah, no other lighting. Um, first we had a professional camera person do it, lights and everything like that. We just said, fuck it, it's not right. So, just Mel says, I'll shoot it, I'll come over with my camera, and,
Mm.
and we did it over I mean, there were different days and different times, even though I have the same hairstyle and the same t-shirt. It was really different days. I don't know why I thought we should make it look like it's all the same day. And one time I forgot and I got my
Have you
hair.
heard about continuity?
What?
Have you ever heard of continuity?
Yeah. But I mean, I really could have sat there with a different top on and had it seem like different days. I don't know.
No, it's come on, wardrobe would have you shot. So, audience, I am so sorry. You were saying earlier about being neutral as a interviewer. Obviously not my style.
Yeah. But well, it was hard with
Yeah,
Frank Luntz, but I
a
didn't.
labor of love.
What?
I know it was a labor of love for you.
Yeah, the whole
I can feel it.
Oh,
And
thank you for saying that. Yes. Yeah, other
was
people.
it cathartic?
Yes. It was probably the most important thing I've done in my life so far
So far until you make the next movie.
until I make the next movie. Yeah.
Me? The next movie, it's coming.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Just the way you got those interviews, I know where you live. I'll be the old guy taking his shit in your front yard, camping, doing marshmallows. You're gonna do the next one. Because kid, look what you did. You touched on something back in 2016. 3 years later, look where our country is after the Powell memo, the Atwater memo, the Weyrich moment with Jerry Falwell. You're talking about those times, but look where the hell we are right now. How are you sitting on your fucking ass on the East Coast somewhere and not making the follow up to this movie?
I didn't. It's so hard to make money from documentaries, and it was hard to get, like, we wanted to get more exposure, like on MSNBC, on television shows, because I want to help change the world. I want to help save the world. And I was very frustrated. So I noticed that who they would have on is people who wrote books. So, and then actually I had
When you're doing this contrivance, you're doing the book
Mhm.
as like a stepping stone.
Well, to bring more attention to the movie, yes, and to get to people who wouldn't maybe watch the movie, and so I can talk about the movie more. Once, I'm hoping. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know how good a writer I am.
What did Gravitas do to promote the movie?
Well, they don't promote. They're just an aggregator. So they're responsible for getting it on all the different platforms and stuff like that. But yeah,
But they used to have money. They didn't put any money in.
no. I mean, they might have to get it on these platforms, but not for PR. Not for PR. Yeah.
Who else produced? What was that? Sanko de Mayo or something? Or
Well, that's Matthew Modine and Adam Rakoff's production company, Cinco Dedos de Películas. Yeah, that's Matthew Modine's production company.
Now, how did they get involved?
Well, let's see, where do I start with that? I was running a Kickstarter campaign, and Colin and I had done the trailer. You put that on Kickstarter, and someone suggested to me, why don't you ask this guy who's helping Bill Plimpton, the animator, famous animator, who I dated when I was in college. I was very young. Anyway.
Come on, give us the dirt.
So we knew each other. But I didn't, he was running a Kickstarter campaign and Adam Rackoff was helping him.
Okay.
And Adam had this partnership with Matthew Modine. So I asked Bill if he would mind if Adam helped me. Adam said, sure, we can talk about your Kickstarter campaign on our Kickstarter campaign. And then, of course, that meant that Matthew watched the trailer. So once he watched the trailer, he's a person of really high integrity. And he's got an activist spirit. He's a remarkable person, and he wanted to be involved. And he didn't have like money that he could contribute, but he said whatever I can do, whether it's narrator, talking about it, doing interviews, whatever. So, and then
he has a distinct voice, a recognizable voice.
He has a great voice. I think it really added something because I did the more personal stuff and he did the more, scientific is the wrong word, but more historical, fact type thing. And I thought that worked. Besides, I didn't want people to get tired of my voice.
Audience, Jennifer, in an email before we started the interview, said, Sweeney, make sure my hair is okay. Please tell me if my hair is okay. And of course, as an asshole producer, I wrote back, no fucking way.
Did you mean no, you're not going to tell me? Or
yeah, no, I'm not going to tell you. Absolutely not.
Oh.
Are you kidding? Audience, you have to watch this movie. This kid is like, I don't know how you describe it. She's like she's walking through these scenes and she's got her jeans and a t-shirt and she looks like she's 17 years old. And she's just walking along. Oh, I'm going to interview Norm Chomsky today. I couldn't fucking interview him.
Yeah, no, that was amazing too. How I couldn't believe the people I got. I mean, I think everybody recognizes that when you are doing a project that really means a lot to you, there's a kind of a magic that can happen, and things just sort of unfold by themselves. And so somebody that had seen a previous movie that I had co-directed with Fiore De Rosa called The Vanishing City, about the luxurification of cities happening all over, said to me, well, she was a real fan of The Vanishing City, and she said, you should interview Noam. And I'm like, Noam? You mean Noam fucking Chomsky? And she said, yeah, I worked with him on WBAI for a while, so I'll introduce you. Just write something up and I'll read it, because she was a real writer. And she read it and she said, I think he's interested in this. This is about media and I think he'll like the idea. And he wrote back and there we had it. And it was just, that was amazing.
I want to quote you to you. You had a shit ton of moments like that in your movie.
Yeah.
You really did. All right, kid, we're at an hour. And fuck, I want to do 2 more hours with you.
Dancing and singing in the rain.